signifies the shift from the physical labor or the mental labor that we might have saw with, let's say, the industrial age and the blue collar workers and the white collar workers, and then shifting to the mental labor that we saw with perhaps our generation with the so-called knowledge workers.
Mm.
Emotional labor is that stuff that machines or technology or algorithm can't do. So the emotional labor, like you mentioned, I have two sons, they're 8 and 5. The emotional labor is caring for them as the primary caregiver. The emotional labor is when I do my one-on-one coaching and I'm guiding someone through a difficult time or where they might be stuck. You can't do that with ones and zeros, as we say back in the day in the programming world. You can't put that into, again, an algorithm. You can't do a startup that's going to handle those kinds of things and have it be automated by AI. Emotional labor are those things where, at least I believe, and again, based on Seth Godin's definition, is where we show up as our authentic selves in a way that many people cannot. It's in a way that can't be duplicated. And when we do emotional labor, we need to be thoughtful about that because our emotional energy isn't infinite. So if we're going to put in that emotional labor, we better make sure that it's something or someone that's worth pouring into.
Right. Oh man, I really love that lens on it. And I hadn't heard that before. All the things that you mention as being emotional labor, things like caring for kids or doing one-on-one coaching, these sound like things that are just sort of the nature of being a giving person. But how do you discern, is there a time when maybe you're doing someone else's emotional labor for them that maybe isn't truly your work to do? And how do you figure out if that's happening or if you are truly being of service to somebody else?
One good indicator, and as you mentioned at the top, I like to give. And so
Mhm.
there's a awesome book by Adam Grant called Give and Take, which you might be familiar with. It ended up being a bestseller a few years ago. I got a chance to connect with Adam and I got a chance to read his latest books, but I'm still catching up on his older books. And Give and Take was probably like 6, 7 years ago. And so I'm in the middle of reading that right now as I'm researching my next book that'll be out in January. And one of the things that I found from his research and from myself as being a natural giver, which it isn't a
Mhm.
judgment at all if you're a giver or a taker, being a natural giver, one of the challenges that one of the indicators that I found is if I'm giving to someone and I realize that they don't need me, that I actually feel dejected.
Mm.
And one of the indicators I think of giving too much emotional labor is when you notice you're doing it for yourself, not for the other person. It's feeling, as they say in psychology, it's filling a hole in yourself. It's not something that's altruistic. It's not something that's for the betterment of the world. There's a wonderful meme that I saw recently, and I'm so glad everyone knows what a meme is now, so I can just try it out because I've been looking at memes for like years, and I'm like, finally, people understand what meme is. There's a wonderful meme that I saw recently where someone was talking to the therapist, and they said, I just have a big heart. I'm just a giving person.
Mhm.
And the therapist said, well, maybe you're not a giving person. Maybe you're just a person with poor boundaries. And that's like a phenomenal way to put it, where we have to figure out where we're going to pour ourselves into. And if we have to pour ourselves into anything, then what does that say about our judgment? And maybe it gives us an opportunity or a pause, as they say, to think about why we need to give this emotional labor so badly. Because what we don't understand is that if the main intention of giving this emotional labor is to serve the world,
Mhm.
then it will start to become more replenished. When I do my one-on-one coaching with the books that I do, you mentioned I have my Bring Your Work show on YouTube. It's at youtube.com/Brown Damon. When I'm doing those things, I can feel my energy coming back. It's replenishing, I guess would be the word.
Mhm.
When I'm doing something that's fulfilling, trying to fill a certain gap in myself, if it's because I might think I'm better than the other person, so I think I'm doing my charity work. And I
Mm.
don't mean
Mhm.
that like working in a soup kitchen.
Hmm.
I mean, those ways where I might actually feel like I'm superior to the people that I'm supporting, even though I don't recognize it. And when they don't accept that emotional labor from me, I actually feel weaker.
Hmm.
That's an indicator, I think, that perhaps there's some dynamic that's off and maybe reflective of the way that you view other people, and perhaps the idea that you're giving that emotional labor to other people because you want to feel superior and you wouldn't feel superior any other way. So I think
Right.
that's kind of the dark side of being quote unquote a giver, is that you sometimes end up giving in ways where the intentions aren't necessarily pure. And my best indicator is when I realize I stepped over the line. And when I step over the line, I'm like, oh, wow, I don't feel good because this emotional labor didn't land the way that I wanted it to. But if you're really doing true emotional labor for the right intentions, then it doesn't matter whether it lands or not a certain way. What matters is that you're doing the service.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, sometimes I think it could be